Hello, this is Debbie, and this is Light Up Your Worth. I am so excited that you are here this week, and you are just going to be delighted by my guest this week, Suzanne LaVoie Sammon. And she is filled with a huge zest for life. She has had several in multiple diverse industries, but her passions are for hospitality, tourism, and customer service. Suzanne began her author journey in 2016 with solo and compilation books. Additional literary achievements include being a guest blogger for multiple digital magazines and websites. Suzanne serves in both traditional and freelance sectors, including serving as an international editor, proofreader, and ghostwriter. She has been a public speaker at various venues, both in person and online, and holds an advanced degree in international and community development. Suzanne has a love for helping customers and guests have epic experiences, especially through communication and attention to individual needs and preferences. Her level of expertise derives from a professional journey of over 30 years of customer service-related positions. She believes everyone can be their own individual tour guide, which enables them to navigate their own unique journeys towards epic destinations. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you so much. I am so thrilled to be here, and I just love the fact that I'm able to be a guest here.
Oh, thank you. We're excited, right? And just so listeners know, maybe on the YouTube you'd be able to see, but we have on our power hats here.
Yes.
And we're calling in the magical powers to join us in this conversation because we'd like to have fun here on Light Up Your Worth um, and talk about joy. Like joy is such an important component of really showing up for life and living this experience through everything. And I'm curious to see, with all of your background in tourism and being an author, what does joy look like for you?
I think of the word enjoy that we always talk about, like if we're enjoying a trip or enjoying an activity, and I think about being in joy. And to
Mm,
me, joy is a mindset. And like when I wake up in the morning, I start to immediately think about, okay, what things can I be in joy about today? And I love to have fun, and it has served me throughout, like, a lot of challenging experiences throughout my life, and joy is being in the moment, joy is being spontaneous, and joy is going out there and doing what is our authentic self. It's doing what we feel is there, that is within us, as I call it, the inner tour guide. We all have individual paths within ourselves, and finding joy in what brings us that happiness. And it could be anything. Like for me, traveling, writing, editing. I do also pet sitting. I mean, it's just there are so many things that I love to do. As in my bio, I have that zest for life, and zest and joy go hand in hand. And for being in joy, it's doing those things for yourself that bring you the most happiness. And that's going to be different for everybody.
mhm,
People have to dig down deep within themselves, like what makes you happy? What makes me happy? And it's all going to be different for each of us. That's why I say about being that inner tour guide. You can
mhm.
guide yourself throughout these processes, and finding that joy along the way. And sometimes the paths lead to detours that we weren't expecting, and sometimes it's hard to find joy in those detours. But then again, it's being in that present moment and what can I take from this experience?
Mhm. I agree. I love that expression of the inner tour guide because
Yes.
we do. We get to make up the destinations. We can either wake up on the wrong side of the bed, as that expression goes,
Yeah.
even in the most challenging experiences, there's something to find in joy.
Yes.
So I love that perspective of how you're able to pull that in from all of your different interests, from the writing, even proofreading, right, and editing. Some
Mhm.
people might go, "Oh, no, who" as I'm the editor of my own podcast and, my own stuff that I write, right, and my communications, and proofreading is not my strength. And so I love that you would love to do that kinda stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I sounds crazy, but yes, I do.
Mhm. And then you like to travel and, how did you catch the travel bug, as I call it?
I was born into it. My mom, she until she started having children, was a flight attendant for, TWA, so she got to travel to a lot of different places. My grandmother's sister loved to travel, and then when I was about 6 years old and my, older sibling was, he's 6 years older, they took us to my one of my favorite places in the world, Lake George in upstate New York. And also too, like, we just went to different states. I am very blessed to have been to half the United States already. I've been to 2 countries that I just wanna keep going, but, you know, we were always doing something as a family, whether it was going to New York or Pennsylvania to visit my grandmother, or go to festivals and concerts, and we went to, Broadway a few times. We were talking about joy before. It's amazing to me that, sometimes I'll talk to someone who, like, never saw the ocean or something, something that I find joy in all the time because I was living by the ocean, and or somebody said they never went to a Broadway play, and so but I mean, it's okay. Like, I tell them, like, "It's okay, though, because you find joy in what you've been able to do." So,
Mhm.
like, I don't ever want anybody to feel like, "Well, I never did that or had that experience," but we all have different experiences, and finding the joy in that. There's things that I hear people say that they've done, "Oh, I would love to do that," but then I always make sure that I bring it back to, "Well, I've experienced this, and I could choose to experience that if I wanted to." So,
Yeah, I agree. I think comparison equals, misery.
it does.
You don't get anywhere. You just kinda go in circles and who wants that? Like,
Right.
enjoy this experience and finding joy. So, I loved how you were exposed to different experiences that you mentioned, right? The Broadway play, being able to travel up to Lake George,
Yeah.
and how you were able to see half the US. I grew up over out in Northern California,
Mhm.
and my parents took us through the station wagon days, you know,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and, we saw all the Western states right before I was, like,
Mhm.
10, and it really inspired me and my sister. We find a lot of joy in those experiences even now, both of us being in our mid-50s, so
Mhm.
it's really quite a powerful thing. And then you were also talking about how you've even specialized with your education about community and friendships. And how have you built that into, the joy of having community to help support being in that joy?
I've always loved being in groups and getting to know other people and again, what they're passionate about, and I have been blessed to this day. Like, I'm in my mid-50s, and I have friendships from when I was in elementary school, and I've always worked on keeping in touch with, obviously, I've been able to keep in touch with everyone, but there were just some key friendships that have just continued throughout, like, almost 40 years. Like, I'm friends to this day with a girl that we were in 2nd grade together. We live near each other. And in fact, we just went to our local Halloween parade last week, and I mean, just that joy of, like, somebody that I've known since 2nd grade, and we're still so close to this day. And friendships have just brought so much joy to me, especially through the really hard times that I've been through. I'm going through one right now, and I mean, my friends just bring me the deepest joy because friends, yeah, as they say, friends are the family we choose, and,
Mhm.
it's amazing because, you know, these relationships that I have had and people that I've met later on in life, and they do bring that enrichment and that joy to my life because they accept me, I accept them, and we're always helping each other and building each other up to be our best selves. And, it's just such a wonderful feeling, and that community. I mean,
Mhm.
I live in a 55 and older and adult community right now, and the community support that I've been finding here. I mean, we had good neighbors where we were living. My mom and I were living before, but here they check on you. They're always like, how are you doing? How's your mom doing? And because she's going through a health challenge right now, and it's just like that sense of community that I know that if I needed somebody, they were right there.
Mhm.
And, so that brings me so much joy, and that lights me up, to know that I have people that I can count on, and because it just gets me through each day. I really work hard at thanking God each day for these people in my life because they are a light in my life and definitely a huge source of joy.
Mhm. Wow, that's quite an accomplishment to have friends that go that far back that you're, in so much contact with and, I'm sure and I'm curious to learn how you've been able to maintain friendships that are that deep over all of life, all of the phases that we go through up until where we are now, right? In our mid-50s. I mean, that's not an easy task, and how have you been able to do that?
It's really like making a consistent effort to stay in touch, and of course, with social media, it's a lot easier in texting. I mean, in the past, I mean, we would have regular phone conversations and everything, but, ever since social media and texting. I mean, even if I can't see somebody all the time, I'll either send a text or Facebook message and or trying to make sure that we have some time together. Like one of my best friends from when I was in high school, we don't really get to see each other much except maybe once or twice a year, but we keep in touch over Facebook. We text each other, we call each other. We'll send each other cards at holidays and birthdays and but it takes work. It really does. I mean, it really, like, burdens my heart when I hear people say that they've lost friendships over the years, and I'm like, "Well, did you keep in touch?" Like, and they're like, "No, I" people would say, like, I was really bad at keeping in touch, so it really takes effort to find ways to do it, and we're blessed that we're in a technological world where it is very easy to keep in touch more and everything,
Mhm.
but I always wanna, like, schedule that time to have that personalization, have a phone call or something where I can hear somebody's voice. Like, I love voice clips,
Mhm.
so somebody can actually hear my voice, and so but it's just a consistent effort to keep in touch,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I know I find myself with some of my friends, we Boxer, we Marco Polo, so that we can
Mhm.
hear each other's voices. Even Facebook Messenger lets you talk.
Yes. Mhm.
That's been super powerful. I agree, like, it really takes an effort to keep in contact with people. I met my best friend, the BFF, right out of high school, and even though
Mhm.
I'd had really great friends, and I am in contact with childhood friends as well, but she became my best friend at 18, and we've maintained that through relationships, children, adult children, school, just a lot of life, sick parents. And we decided like 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, that we needed to get together because we didn't live even in the same state, that we would meet up halfway. And,
Mhm.
once a year, we're going to make it a priority. And it's every October we go and we meet up someplace. And
Oh.
we create new memories now versus and it's been so powerful to be able to do that, and do you do anything
Mhm.
similar like that with some of your friends where you have, like, certain things that you'll do, different activities with, or
Oh, yeah, in fact, my one friend that I see a couple times a year, we have a tradition that there's a restaurant in my state, it's called Friendly's, and that has been our tradition. We started going to that restaurant when we were around, like, in our early 20s, and she loves this ice cream thing called a Fribble. So, every time she comes back to, New Jersey, she's like, "I wanna go to Friendly's, I wanna go to Friendly's, I gotta get my Fribble." So, that's something that's very precious to us when we go and everything. And I love smiley faces, so she told me that when I go out to visit her in Pennsylvania, she said there's this place that has these cookies, that are smiley faces. So she's like, "We're gonna go there when you come to visit." So it's just amazing. And I have traditions with other friends that we'll go to special events, like especially around the holidays. And there's like Friendsgiving dinners at our local tea house that some of us go to. And so it's fun. There's just certain people that I love doing particular activities with, and it just
Mhm.
it feels like a warm blanket when we do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's really necessary. I read some studies a few years back about how women, especially at our generation, and I think it applies to all generations, but is that how important these friendships and community is to our well-being, our mental health. Like we have like it's almost like 60%, if I remember correctly,
Mhm.
less chance of becoming depressed and feeling
Yes.
so isolated just by women continuing
Mhm.
to be in community.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, I
So
mean, I
oh,
feel for people that, don't have those relationships and they're isolated, and it does, hurt me because I know, like, having friendships around, I mean, that has just been such gold for me, it really has.
mhm. Yeah, I don't know how I would have navigated life, or without some of these amazing friends that I've
Mhm.
had as well. So do you find, in your morning routine where you are deciding to wake up in joy,
Mhm.
is that somehow connected to any part of how you take care of yourself, your own, like, self-care practices, or how do you maintain that?
I do a lot, and it's become a lot more prevalent the last couple years, but I love meditation. I do a lot of guided meditations on YouTube, and then I also have done a lot of affirmation work.
Mhm,
And it keeps that joy in, and you can find affirmations and meditations on almost any topic or out there, but self-care is something that, especially as women and when we're caregivers and, women having kids and everything, I mean, there just never seems to be enough hours in the day, and we forget that we're important. We need to focus on taking care of ourselves. We otherwise our emotional bank account keeps getting withdrawn, and we need to put those deposits in ourselves. And I always say that, like, a flower can't water itself. I mean, like, we need to be able to have that coming in, something flowing in for us. And so having that meditation and the affirmation time, and sometimes, like, I'll just get up and I have my favorite cup of coffee, and I'll have it in a favorite mug, and that's self-care for me too. So taken from those external things, though, but filling myself up, and that way I can be a healthy version for the people in my life and the activities and responsibilities that I need to do. And I'm very spiritual. I pray and do devotions, and at night I will also do affirmations. I do yoga, not as often as I'd like to, but I can also do it at home. I'll do some free weights, and again, I love to go for walks. I love water. Lake George is a 32-mile lake, so there's so much of it to see, and I would just love walking in the mountain air and the trails, and I love to go hiking and walking in the local park. So that's a big self-care for me, is being out in nature.
mhm,
There's nothing like when you're going through a really challenging situation and you're amongst the trees, and, like, right now, I mean, the colors are so vibrant. Well, near me, they're starting to lose their vibrancy, but there's still a lot of different colors. But when the leaves were really at their peak, I was going in the parks, and I was just like, I'm surrounded by all this beauty and everything, and it just made me feel so much better, and I don't feel alone.
mhm.
And just going for those walks and going by water, or just doing something that reminds me, or going by the ocean, it just reminds me of that I'm not alone, that, I'm cared for.
Yeah. You know what I love too is that you're talking about the whole nature sound bath. I think is what they're
Mhm.
actually terming it now, right? And
Yes.
the science behind that about how it actually helps us regulate our nervous system, and how it's just so powerful how it's all connects. Some of the real basic stuff. It's like, no wonder when we were kids, we were outside playing, being able to have all that freedom to be able to go out. And now we all seem to want to go back outside and continue that relationship with nature. It is so calming.
It is. It really is. I mean, prior to doing the podcast, it's like 80 some degrees here right now. I mean, we're having weird weather, but for our, our state, but I was sitting outside in this chair and, just leaning back and looking up at the sky and the clouds. And I mean, it was just like, wow, they're just, and there was a nice little breeze outside because it was getting dark and it was just so calming. And sometimes I'll do that too. Like, I don't have an issue with solitude as long as it's not, like, all the time, but sometimes if I'm out with a lot of people, sometimes I have to recharge,
Mhm.
and, the best way I do that is I just get some time by myself, I'll read a book, I'll put on some calming music. I'm excited now because one of my music channels on TV has the Christmas music now. So
Yeah.
and this morning they played, that one from Home Alone, where, he was trying to get the guys to think somebody was home, and I'm dancing in the living room and, again, just, nobody's watching. I mean, I'm like, I'm just here by myself right now and, and again, being that in joy and
Mhm,
just grateful that I have these abilities to be able to do this and creating my own joy. I always say that there's abundance in simplicity.
mhm.
And, I mean, I like large things, but I also love the simplicity, and you can really feel the abundance with just dancing around to a Christmas song, so it's
You really can, and I love, like, the Hallmark station starts
Yep.
Christmas music or Christmas movies, right?
Yeah.
Like, the next day after Thanksgiving? No, not Thanksgiving, Halloween. After
Yes, yes.
Halloween, right? And you can
Yeah.
just sit there and just kind of just
Mhm.
absorb just that spirit of giving and love, and
Right.
that's a go-to station for me to do the same kinda thing.
Exactly.
So, it's super, super powerful. So, now I'm curious, I'm gonna kinda shift our gears because we are talking about music, and the questions I like to ask my guests are that I'm a huge believer in music, like you were talking about, like, it can really transform your mood, lift you up, inspire
Mhm.
you to do something new, and I'm always curious to learn, Suzanne, what is, like, a go-to song for you?
One of my most favorite go-to songs, it's by Whitney Houston and, The Greatest Love of All. So there's some words in there, like, about, no matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, and I have just lived by that, and I have played that song so many times throughout my life where I just needed a pick me up, and I always felt like that song was reaching out to me personally. It was like receiving a hug from someone because it's true. I mean, no matter what we go through, no matter how many detours, we have to go through, they can't take away the essence of who we are and what we love and what we want to do. And we don't have to lose our joy even in these life quakes, as I like to call them. And
Like
and
that.
there's been some serious ones.
Mhm.
What I do too is I will remember, like, when I'm going through these times, like, to remember that the joy that I felt at times when things weren't so turbulent, and that song always manages to ground me, and it just gets me back into that flow and feeling like no matter what, I can still move forward and I can still go after toward those destinations. So
Mhm.
that song just always speaks to me.
Yeah, I absolutely loved her voice, It's just
Mhm.
and it is a very, very powerful song. So I will
Yeah.
add that onto the Light Up Your Words on YouTube, and I've included a playlist of all the
Mhm.
guest songs. And it's all kinds of genres, and so I
Mhm.
will add in Whitney's.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great to add that on. So my next question that I'm always curious to learn and gain insight on my guest is that, in this season of your life,
Mhm.
if you could go back and talk to your younger self about your own worth, what would you tell her?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some quotes and mindset tips from a book that I worked in with a compilation about what self love got to do with it. And this is exactly what I would say to my younger self. Life changes constantly. We don't necessarily have to like or even love change, but we must accept it as part of our growth as a human being. Once acceptance occurs, change can be viewed as an adventure to embrace rather than an enemy to avoid. Self love is a choice. We need to choose to love ourselves and build from there. You or your own X marks the spot. Sometimes we search for that perfect path, thinking that there is one thing that will be the answer for us. I believe that life is a series of evolving paths, and if we choose to always look forward and upward, a beautiful, exciting journey awaits us every single day. Don't let anyone or anything stop you from what you are truly meant to do. Part of growth is accepting what your strengths are and focusing solely on them rather than what others think or feel you should be or do. Enjoy your journey. Everything that has happened, the good and not so good, has helped you get to this point. Embrace transition as a season of growth and hope. Evolve, don't dissolve. And the last one is roots can change. There is something out there for each of us, something worth all the rejections, sacrifices, disappointments, and losses. It may not always come out the way we hoped, but it can be even better than we dared to imagine.
Mm, wow. Yes, it is always better than what we dare to imagine. Those are both very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could see how they resonate with you and doing our own self-acceptance and
Yes.
going back. Mhm.
Because especially as kids, I mean, when we're children, we're influenced by all the adults around us, and how many times we're told like, "Oh, we should do this," or "We should be doing that," or "We have to do this,"
Mhm.
and I mean, we when we grow up, we should be able to explore what that means for us, and whether it is going to college or doing a trade or pursuing an artistic endeavor. I mean, it should be what our authentic self is, and I just wish for myself that I had more adults that would have supported some things that I wanted to do back then, but now I know that I'm an adult now and I can be that adult that I wish, was around me.
Mhm.
And I always seek to encourage people. And I have a deep soft spot for younger people and telling them, hey, it's okay to be you. It's okay to go out there and whatever you want to do. And it's healing for me as well as healing for everybody else. And that being your own X marks the spot, because how many times I think you had mentioned too about that external and going outside and looking for external to help build us up, but we have treasures within us. We have these golden nuggets that are just sitting there all along and they're just waiting to be dug out.
Oh, absolutely agreed. All that innate wisdom that we carry within ourselves, and truly, we're just worthy for being born. Like yourself, I do have an affinity to help younger people, step into their own light earlier than maybe we were encouraged to.
Mhm.
That was just kind of socially how it kind of was too, though. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
so it's nothing against our, well-meaning parents. So,
Right.
because I love my parents dearly. So,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm sure you do. You're care
Yes. Mhm.
caregiver. So,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. So this has been so lovely, Suzanne. So, how can people reach you to connect with you, learn more about you, and
Well, I do have a website that is tourism based. I've been blogging and working on doing a lot with building a tourism based biz and helping businesses and people who are in that industry and working on expanding and enriching what is going well and making it even bigger. So that is www.highrisetourism.com. It's all one word, and there is a way in there that you can connect with me, because it goes directly to my email, and you just look for the link in there. And then also on Facebook, you can find me under Suzanne LaVoie Sammon, which is my personal page, or Suzanne LaVoie, and that's L-A, V as in Victor, O-I-E, and that's my writer business page. I'm also on TikTok as Tourism Guru Susie and Instagram as Tourism Guru Suzanne LaVoie.
All the ways.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. I haven't seen your TikTok, so I'm gonna have to go, I'm gonna have to go check that out too.
Okay, great.
Yeah, this has been such a pleasure getting to, know you a little bit more and how you wake up every day with making those choices to be in the moment. It's so refreshing. So thank you, Suzanne, so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. I have really, really enjoyed this.
Thank you.